Still, knowing Yellowstone is a work of Sheridan, and especially with all the drama that unfolded off screens, we don't know what direction Sheridan will take us in. Will Beth finally get the ultimate revenge, or will Jamie somehow, against all odds, claw his way to the top? It may sound like a long shot, but stranger things have happened in Yellowstone. What's going to happen next? Yellowstone has had us hooked speculating what comes next after each season and episode, and Part 2 is no exception. With each new episode, we can't help but wonder, who's getting the ranch? Who will make it to the end? Are we done after this season, or is there more to come? The questions are endless, and we're desperate for answers. The ranch's future, Tate Dutton or Rip Wheeler? One might think Rip Wheeler, Beth's husband, filling the shoes of John as the last cowboy standing, would be a good fit, given that he's the loyal ranch foreman who's been quite the steady figure. But Beth dropped a crucial line that talked of the future of the ranch. If you somehow missed it, toward the end of the first episode of Part 2, Beth mentioned how Tate, John Dutton's grandson, was the beneficiary of the family trust. Now, this was a little dramatic pivot, but thinking in the long run, it makes total sense why John would make Tate the beneficiary. He's literally the future of the ranch and also, till now, the least problematic, given he's still a kid. But wait, he's still a kid, so who'll be taking care of the ranch till the youngest Dutton grows old enough? Tate getting the ranch will be like passing the torch to the next generation, one that isn't as entrenched in the toxic legacy of John Dutton's rule. But it'll be quite some time till we see it happen, or if we see it happen at all. So we guess Tate's a storyline for another time. The bombshell and what's next for Yellowstone. Some fans are even diving into the idea of Beth setting up her own business now that John is gone, the same business she hinted at in Part 1. And with how John sent the cattle to Texas to protect them, it could actually be a clever setup for Beth to step in and expand her into the cattle business. But before fans could continue with their blazing thoughts, Cole Hauser, oh yeah, Rip Wheeler himself, just dropped a bombshell that has us all scrambling. So apparently, all the wild fan theories we've been tormenting over, Hauser says none of them are even close to what's actually going to happen. Yup, you heard that right. In a recent interview, he casually tossed out that everyone's predictions about the finale are way off. And let's just say, that little nugget of info is enough to send fans into a frenzy. Like, if the show has already kept us on the edge of our seats, what kind of chaos is about to unfold in these last episodes? What more twists will Sheridan give us? But here's where it gets even juicier. The secrecy surrounding the finale was a whole new level. Apparently, even the cast wasn't clued in on what was coming because the producers of the show didn't want even a snippet of the finale of Season 5 to sneak out. Even scripts were being redacted like they were government secrets, and Hauser himself admitted that he had no idea where his character was headed until the very last minute. So if you were hoping for all those storylines to wrap up neatly with a bow, brace yourselves. It looks like Yellowstone might be heading for a twist that'll leave us all with our jaws on the floor. Like always. Speaking of interviews, let's talk about Cole Hauser for a minute and then get into the real shocker, Kevin Costner, or should we say, the dead John Dutton. You would think Kevin Costner might be feeling a little nostalgic seeing Part 2 come on air without him, right? Well, it seems like it's the opposite. Kevin Costner is too busy to care. So while the rest of us were counting down the days to the long-awaited Part 2, Costner didn't even have a single clue when the first episode was airing. In a candid moment on SiriusXM's The Michael Smerconish program, Costner got real and said how he didn't even know the show was airing this November. And turns out he even saw a few ads with his face on them for Part 2. Yikes! But it seems Costner's moved past the rocky days at Yellowstone and he's thriving in his own lane. The Sheridan Universe, Yellowstone spin-offs. There's even talk in the air of how Sheridan might be on the verge of taking control of a whole new empire. It's like the end of Yellowstone could actually be the start of something even bigger for him. Look, the guy's been busy building this massive universe around the Duttons for years, and we're all just living in it. Sure, Beth might be gearing up to take over, but what about the Clyburns? They're out there, lurking, and we still don't know what the deal is with them. And if you haven't heard of the Clyburns, then here's a quick catch-up. The Madison is an upcoming Yellowstone spin-off starring none other than the iconic Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes, Michelle Pfeiffer. The story follows the uber-rich Clyburn family who swapped their posh New York lifestyle for the rugged beauty of Montana after a tragic loss. Sounds juicy, right? Knowing the roots of the show are in Yellowstone, there's for sure going to be dramatic betrayals and family secrets, and we're so ready. And the million-dollar question, how does the Madison connect to the rest of the Yellowstone universe? The Clyburns may be new on the block, but let's not pretend Sheridan isn't cooking up some wild crossover. Can you imagine Beth Dutton clashing with the Clyburn matriarch? Sparks would fly, and honestly, we'd love to see it. No one can deny Sheridan outdoes himself with every new spin-off. Just look at the success of 1883 and 1923. And keep in mind that these series took off while Yellowstone was still airing. The Madison does seem to differ from his normal trajectory because his previous spin-offs have centered solely around the Duttons. Like 1883 was basically heartbreak wrapped in grit. Sheridan took us on a journey to the origins of the Dutton dynasty, and we'd be lying if we said we didn't let a few tears loose here and there. And then there's 1923, filled with Dutton family drama and hard decisions. Every episode kind of felt like a history lesson wrapped in tension. With the Madison now on the scene, Sheridan has more than a few cards left to play. There are whispers about how the Madison might take the Yellowstone universe in a new direction. After all, it is bringing in fresh faces and new conflicts, potentially changing the game for good. But will it be able to meet the high standards Yellowstone has set? Sheridan has made his own universe, everything is connected, but there is one more spin-off fans are whispering about, Beth and Rips. Could it be that the two get their own spin-off? Because at this point, the two are carrying Yellowstone, so why not have their own show? But Hauser once again came crashing fans' dreams and said how the two are currently busy with other projects. But folks, if you ask us, that's not really a no. And let's be real, Sheridan loves keeping secrets, so we're not taking a Beth and Rip spin-off off the table just yet. Especially keeping in mind how much Taylor Sheridan loves working on spin-offs. Saddle up for one last ride. We're not entirely sure if this is the last of Yellowstone that we'll see, but it sure feels like it. The excitement, the speculations, and the sheer drama are at an all-time high. Will Rip and Beth ride off into the sunset or into more chaos? Can Casey and Monica finally find peace? And will John Dutton's iron-fisted rule over the ranch leave behind a legacy or just a trail of dust? And can Jamie ever redeem himself in the eyes of what family he has left? No matter how it ends, one thing is certain, the journey has been a wild ride. From fistfights to betrayals to those jaw-dropping plot twists, Yellowstone has given us everything we didn't know we needed in a modern Western. Now, we're at the edge of our seats, waiting to see how this wild ride is going to end, or should we say continue? So there you have it, folks. Now that you're all caught up, comment down below what you think is going to happen. Oh, and make sure to subscribe for more updates and news on your favorite shows.